Hello students, topic for today's lecture is revocation. Revocation is the act of recall or annulment. It is the cancelling of an act, the recalling of a grant or the privilege or making them void of some deed previously existing. A temporary revocation of a grant of privilege is called as a suspension. Now, first is a revocation of an offer. How an offer is being revoked. That is how it is cancelled. The Indian Contract Act lays out the rules for the revocation of an offer in Section 5. It says the offer may be revoked any time before the communication of the acceptance is complete against the proposer or the offerer. Once the acceptance is communicated to the proposer, revocation of the offer is now not possible. Then comes revocation of acceptance. Section 5 also states that acceptance can be revoked until the communication of the acceptance is completed against the acceptor. No revocation of acceptance can happen after such a date. Then comes contract law. In the law of contract, revocation is a type of remedy for the buyers when the buyer accepts a non-conforming good from the seller. Upon receiving the non-conforming good, the buyer may choose to accept it despite the non-conformity, reject it, although this may not be allowed under the perfect tender rule, and whether the seller still has the time to cure or revoke their acceptance. Now, under Article 2 of the Uniform Commercial Code, for a buyer to revoke, he must show number 1, the goods fail to conform to the contract, and number 2, it substantially impaired the value of the goods. This is a question of fact. Then, next point, if the buyer knew of the non-conformity at the same time of the acceptance, he can revoke only if he can show that he accepted the goods with the impression of the seller would cure it, and that did not happen. If he did not know of the non-conformity at the acceptance, he can revoke only if he can prove he was reasonably induced by the difficulty of discovering the defect or by the seller's assurances. Then comes revocation of legal rights, privileges, or license can occur either administratively or through criminal courts. A common example is the revocation of a driver's license for egregious or repeated violations of traffic laws, which can be done by a criminal court or an administrative traffic court, depending on the jurisdiction. Another example is the loss of a certain privileges in government environments that permits restrictions on the normal citizen rights. First point is revocation of privileges in military services such as Liberty Pass. Then revocation of privileges prison inmates such as visitation rights. Then a related type of revocation occurs when a person loses some form of rank or office. The demotion or removal is sometimes termed revocation. Finally, a person can revoke a grant of representation. For example, a person may sign a power of attorney, then later may revoke it. The previous grantee then loses the right to make decisions on the principal's grantor's behalf. I hope the topic of revocation must be clear to you. Thank you.